Welcome everyone to the 32-team franchise with the Jacksonville Jaguars of the 2007-2008 NFL season. They were the third place in the AFC South. We'll go ahead and show you the schedule here. And again, they had a better season than I thought they would. They were led by quarterback Byron Leftwich. I know in the real 2007 season, he was traded to the Atlanta Falcons, but in this reality, he ended up staying and had a fairly good season. He stayed healthy for most of it. David Garrard never really had his moment to steal the starting job from Leftwich. As you can see, 3 rushing touchdowns, 23 passing touchdowns, had 15 interceptions and about 2,800 yards. He was fairly mobile throughout the season, so there's some highlights there of him moving around, moving to the outside. One of the challenges that Jacksonville was facing is that their receivers aren't that strong, and I was trying to find the right way of improving them. There's Matt Jones getting a touchdown there. Reggie Williams was the number 1 receiver for Jacksonville. As you can see, 894 yards, 8 receiving touchdowns, and a fumble. And he's number 11. He had some good deep throws, some good plays being made. But again, that was his fumble right there. I felt like I needed some more options on the offensive end and just did not have them with this team. Now, if they had more receiving options, there might have been a better season for them. But until they get that corrected, it's going to be difficult. So there's a few more highlights from Reggie Williams. And there wasn't really a second receiver to even highlight. I think you saw some highlights in Leftwich's package there. But there we go with Mercedes Lewis, who was probably the second best receiving option for Jacksonville. 575 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns, and a fumble. He was a pretty good deep threat. There was another tight end on the team, and I think his name was Wiggins, who was more of a veteran, had a higher overall. So I kept having to place Mercedes Lewis over him in the depth chart. I think Lewis was also injured for a couple games this season as well. But not bad for the sophomore tight end. You see right there, the corner of the end zone. A lot of corner routes there. There's David Garrard, as I mentioned, because he did have some playing time. I think these are a few highlights of him. Yep. And then there's one play of Maurice Jones-Drew, but that's because he got injured early in the season, and Fred Taylor had to handle the workload as the number 1 running back. As you can see, 934 rushing yards, 7 rushing touchdowns, only 80 receiving yards, and did have 1 receiving touchdown, as you saw in the highlights. And I was actually quite impressed with Fred Taylor. Again, he didn't start every single game because Maurice Jones-Drew did have some workload early. But I think it was the 3rd game of the season when MJD went down. So nearly a 1,000-yard rusher for Fred Taylor and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Probably one of the more positive aspects of their season. They were in the poorly performing AFC South. Again, the division winner was the 8-8 Titans. The 8-8 Colts did not break the tiebreaker, and Jacksonville was 1 game behind. There you go with a blocked field goal. So as you can see, they were the 24th ranked offense in total offensive yards. They were the 28th total passing yards team, so not very good in the air. When it came to rushing, they were the 14th team, largely due to Fred Taylor. When it came to points per game, they were 30th. And again, you're not going to win the division, win games when you're 30th in points scored. Here they are, 24 in least yards allowed. So their defense was in the bottom 10 of the league. They're also 22nd in passing and then 18th in rushing yards allowed. Finally, in least points allowed, they were 20th, kind of the middle of the pack. There you have it, the 2007-2008 Jacksonville Jaguars, 7-9 in the AFC South, and they held the 9th overall pick in the draft.